Now these files, someone asked me, can I share these with my students? Yes, you can. You can give them digital copies, you can give them printed copies, whatever you want to give them, totally fine. All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to get access to all the shared files inside my Dropbox, even if you don't have a Dropbox account. Now, it's important to note that this might not work from a mobile device because most mobile devices don't have internal file organization systems. So from a mobile device, you might have to have a Dropbox, the Dropbox account and in the app. But if you're trying to do it from a desktop or laptop, this should work perfectly fine. So if you visit my studio Facebook page, the other day I put up a post called Files, Files, and More Files. I went through a major reorganization session and I got everything that I wanted to get done for the first of the year, but it didn't happen. But they're ready now. So if you click on this link, and I will include this link, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put it in the description. And if you're watching it on Facebook, I usually throw these links either in the post itself or in the first comment below. So when you click on that link, it'll take you to my Dropbox, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see it's asking, or it's giving me the option to sign in, which means I am not signed in right now. So if you don't have an account, this is what you should be looking at. And even if you do have an account, this is what you'll be looking at, but you'll probably be signed in. So next to the sign in, you see the download option. And when you click it, you get the option to either do a direct download or a save to my Dropbox. So if I go ahead and click on the direct download, it'll start the download and send those files to wherever you have downloads sent to. I'm on a Mac, so that's going to my downloads folder. So if I open that up, sure enough, there it is, and there's all the 4 folders that you see here. So whatever you're looking at, that's what it's going to download. If you don't want everything that's in here, you can just go ahead into the one resource you do want, go ahead and start a new download there, and once again, it'll just download what you're looking at there. Now, for any of the resources that I've made that are for every key, I have subfolders in here, and in the subfolders, you have the resource broken down into individual keys. So if you just want that one thing in the key of D, well, there you go, and you can, again, download it, and it'll just download that one file for that one key. Okay, so now, that's it. That's how you get the files. And if you look here in my downloads folder, those are the 3 downloads I did. This is everything, this is just the major stuff and things resource, and then this is the one I did that's of just that one file. So I'll just talk briefly about what's in here. I've done videos on most of these before. There's one new resource here that I haven't talked about that I'll get into, at another time in more detail, but I'll briefly mention what's in here. So in the major stuff and things, this is the original thing that I made at the beginning of the year for my students, trying to get them to become kind of acquainted with unfamiliar keys. So I'm just going to go ahead and open an individual key for the moment. So this is the key of A, and what it is basic notation that just shows them everything they need to do to kind of get started playing chords and stuff within a key. So major scale, chord scale, triads, primary chord scale, major sus chords. The second page was all extensions and enhancements, so ninths, sixths, sevenths, 11ths, and things like that. And then the third page was all like non-diatonic chords, and these had some progressions built in there, highlighting kind of the non-diatonic chords and explaining what they are. And again, it's a fairly basic document. It doesn't cover everything, obviously. It's only 3 pages, but it's enough to get students kind of acquainted in an unfamiliar key and get moving on that. Now, for these type of resources, I also have like a master collections file, and if you open these, at the front cover, it has like my custom circle of fifths, and these have links embedded into each key. So if I want to, again, this is like a 30, each key had 3 pages, so this is like a 37-page document with the cover page. If you go ahead and click on the key of D, it'll take you right there within the document. So that's pretty cool because it'll let you kind of navigate without having to just scroll through and try to find exactly where you want to be. So again, key of A flat, just click it, and there you go. So that is it for the major stuff and things. The next thing I did after that was the primary chord scale builder. This is my favorite one right now, and probably if you're familiar with anything that I've done, you're probably familiar with this because it's the thing that I've been talking about the most. Same thing, you got subfolder for individual keys. The resource here, again, same circle of fifths. I'll go to the key of G, and this is the primary chord scale builder. Again, if this is your first time seeing it, this is going to be a little weird, but I've been talking about this a bunch, and I have other videos on this. There's also a walkthrough guide for people who are seeing this for the first time that kind of explain this document and what its the intentions are of it. And it'll kind of step by step go through and teach you how to read through the document. And that's about it. You know, it goes through. I go into great detail with this because this document, you know, I believe that this takes care of like 90% of the stuff that happens in 90% of pop music. And so it's really important to understand this kind of primary chord scale stuff. And it kind of goes through thinking of things in numbers. At the end, I give some examples of songs where you can learn it. They're just, you know, sections like the chorus of Piano Man, Billy Joel. And you see I have this kind of number system built in here where you plug in the chords. I don't only use these with students, but I like my students to start thinking in numbers so that they move away from thinking I'm playing this chord to this chord, but actually hear the underlying structure and the movement of chords. Oh, that's a 6 chord going to a 5 chord, going to a 4 chord, going to a 1 chord. So again, that's all kind of covered in the document, and I've done other videos that kind of go into more detail on that. Let's see, what else? We got the Triad Tower and 5th Avenue. So this is something I do that's even a little bit more basic. I have a little introduction guide here that explains why I make my charts like this and why I don't really like the standard chord charts that have like a keyboard layout with each key highlighted and it shows you like a picture of what the chord looks like. I don't like those charts like at all. I feel like it's really hard to get away from using those and that students just kind of see where to put their hands and they don't actually think about the notes that they're playing, and so then they kind of need to keep using charts for their inversions and all that stuff. So the Triad Tower that I have, it gives you that same kind of picture but without telling you exactly where to place your hands, but it shows you the relationship of black keys to white keys, and it shows you how far away a chord might be from another chord. So again, it's a little different. It's something that works for me. It's obviously not going to work for everybody. But these have the major triads, the minor triads. You can see they're kind of color-coded here. I break things down into 4 groups of 3. So these are your 3 all-white keys, and you notice that here I have everything, it's all white. So you kind of get a picture right there. Oh, these are my all-white. Group 2 is the black key in the middle, which is why you have that black cell there. So you're kind of reading these kind of off to the side and always reading from the bottom up to see you play the D chord, everything moves up 1 for the E chord, and then you get that A, which comes right in between the G sharp and B, and then you pop your hand up there. So my students are able to quickly kind of find the relationship and how far the distance between each chord. So again, white in the middle and then the unique chords. So this is how I teach major chords, and the goal is that they just use this and kind of learn them, and then they don't need the charts anymore. They just move on with their musical life and go on to way more interesting things like, you know, the primary chord scale builder, for example. Like you can start using all those major chords to kind of create your minor 7th chords and things like that. So the last document, and this one I've not really discussed at all. I don't think I've even shared it at all. But the PopMattox is basically an extension from the primary chord scale builder. So it's everything the primary chord scale builder has and more. So in the primary chord scale builder, again, you'll be familiar from looking at it. It has, again, that first and second table are identical. But the third table, instead of having the primary chords, I give you even more options, more slash chords, things that can come up within the key. And by doing this, you end up with pretty much 5 options for each primary chord, 5 different bass notes that you can pair with primary chords. And so I'm going to do something on that a little more later, but the file's in there now because it's ready to go. On page 2, I go into a little bit with the sus chords and the add 9s. If you've gone through my walkthrough guide, this will make sense. You'll understand how to read these. You read them from the bottom up. Again, it's kind of like the major triads thing. It's showing you the shape, the relationship, what notes are moving, where the common tones are. And I wanted to have a file that talked about the 9s, the add 9s, and the sus chords, because the primary chord scale covers the adding the 7ths to minor chords, which is like the first extension that I have people add to minor chords because they pretty much always sound good. And then the major sus chords and the major add 9 chords, that 9ths are like the first thing that I have students add to major chords. So, you know, you don't even really need to see, if a chord just says C, it doesn't need to tell you C add 9 for you to add a 9. Like adding a 9 will work a lot of the time. So this is what this file is all about. In the lower part of this, you have the PopMattox box. And this is kind of just the quick formulas and all the diatonic chords within that key. So for example, major add 9, the equation is major triad plus the 9. And then these are the 3 diatonic chords within the key of C. So Nothing non-diatonic covered here. I got plans to do that in the future. For non-diatonic stuff, the only file that I have in here right now is the third page of major stuff and things. But that's what's here. Now these files, someone asked me, can I share these with my students? Yes, you can. You can give them digital copies, you can give them printed copies, whatever you want to give them, totally fine. You know, the copyright that I have on there is just, I don't want somebody taking this and putting it in their book and, you know, but again, it's pretty strange stuff anyways. A lot of people would not really understand how to read some of these things or by just looking at it, with the exception of major stuff and things, because that's kind of standard notation. Everything else probably requires a little bit of an explanation to really understand like how my brain works and what I'm really trying to accomplish here with my students. All right, so go ahead and grab yourself a copy of anything that you might be interested in. The nice thing about having the link, and again, hopefully this works for you, where you can just come here and grab whatever you want. The nice thing about adding a link is if I do a walkthrough guide for any of these other things, I can just add it to the folder here, and then when I do a new video, I'll always kind of include this link, and then you can just go in there and just grab whatever you need. So that's the benefit of having the link, but I don't mind at all really sending things by email. It's just that if I come up with an update, you know, you probably have to ask me to email it to you again. So I don't mind doing that. I want you to have it, but mostly this video is meant to kind of help you figure out how to get these on your own. And I think the people that were having trouble getting these, I got a feeling that they were trying to do it from like an iPad or an iPhone or some type of smartphone or tablet, and that was kind of the problem because there's no like internal file system there. So again, hopefully this works. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'll talk to you later.